Hello, in this video we're going to show you how to assemble this bed, but before we get started, here's a few things to keep in mind. This bed will take about 2 hours to assemble, and we recommend 2 people. Make sure you have a Phillips head screwdriver, and just make sure all the pieces are facing the right way as you're putting it together, and you'll do great. We are going to focus on the trickier parts and go quickly through the easier steps, so just make sure you pause the video and complete all the steps as we go. With that said, let's get into it. In step 1, we're going to put dowels A into pieces 1 and 13. And then in step 2, we're going to put dowels B into all of these pieces here. Okay, we're good to move on. In step 3, we're going to put together pieces 6, 13, and 7 along with this flat panel. So with this, we just want to make sure these grooves line up all the way along the inside of these 3 pieces. We'll attach the dowels here. And then we'll slide in this panel. Once that's together, we can move on to step 4 and put together pieces 14, 15, 5, 3, and 4. And with piece 4, just make sure that these holes are facing up and that this notch is facing outwards. And then we can put these all together. And just make sure 15 is on the edge with the panel. And piece 14 is here. And these holes should be like this. The 2 holes here, 3 holes here, and 3 holes here, like this. And then we'll put in these pieces. Then I'm gonna put bolts into this side. Once those are in, we can line up piece 15 on this side. Now with this, just make sure this groove lines up with the panel. Okay, we're good to move on. In step 5, we're going to put together pieces 16, 17, 5, 3, 5, 3, and 4. And again, with piece 4, just make sure these holes are facing up and this notch is facing outwards. Now we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, we're good to move on. In step 6 and 7, we'll be attaching pieces 1 to these 2 big pieces here. And for this, just make sure that the overhang is facing upwards, like this. And then with this piece with the panel, we'll just have to flip it over to the other side. For this piece down here. And with this side, the ledge will be facing upwards as well. And on this one, it'll be facing upwards as well. Okay, we're good to move on. In step 8, we'll be putting pieces 18 and 19 together. So we'll just take the 2 flat ends and put them together and put the bolt in the side. Next, in steps 9 and 10, we'll attach these to these 2 pieces here. We'll take one of our triangle panels and rest that in the slot. And then we'll line up this triangle with it. And then we'll put in 2 bolts. And we'll do the same thing on this one. And we're good to move on. In steps 11 and 12, we'll be attaching pieces 10 and 11 to this end piece here. And when we're doing this step, we'll have these little nuts that go into the holes. I just want to make sure that they're facing so that the bolt can go into them. So we'll start with this side. This part can be helpful to have a second person. And also when you're putting in these nuts, we want to have the notch facing outwards so we can twist it if needed. And then on these two bottom pieces, we will tighten them completely. And then one thing to watch out for with piece 11 is we want these two holes here to be on this end. So just flip it over like this. Next, in step 13, we'll just stand up the other side and do the same thing. Next, in step 14, we can attach the next piece 10 on this side. And then we'll put in bolts the same way, but these ones leave loose a little bit. Once these bolts are loosely in, we can move on to step 15 and put in two pieces 9 along this side here. With these pieces, just make sure that this little hole is facing outwards. And the dowel should be at the top edge. Once these are in, we'll put in 2 bolts on each side. And while we're here, we can also tighten these 2 bolts here. Next, we'll attach the other piece 11 here. And again, just make sure that these 2 holes are on this end. And then we'll put in the bolts. And these ones we can tighten completely. Okay, we're good to move on. In step 16, we'll be attaching pieces 2 to piece 21. And with piece 21, we're going to be attaching them into these 3 holes here. And just make sure that this end that has 4 holes is facing this way. And also on pieces 2, we want the dowels to be on this edge when we attach them. And they should also hang off this way from piece 21. So we'll attach those with the bolts. Once those are all on, we'll move on to step 17, and we'll stand up the ladder. And we'll line up all the dowels on this side. And then we'll put in bolts through the side. Next, in step 18, we're going to put pieces 8 across here. And with these pieces, we just want this little hole to be facing outwards. And we'll put in bolts through the end. Next, we'll put in bolt D over here. So it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 more at the bottom. Okay, we're good to move on. In step 20, we're going to attach pieces 22 to the sides. And with this, you just want to make sure that you have it facing the right way so that these 2 top holes line up. And we'll also do the top 2 holes first, and that will help us line up the hole that we have to make down here. And then this bottom hole, just press a little harder because we have to make our own. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, we're good to move on. In step 21, we'll be putting in all of the slats. And with these, we have these 2 little spacers that will help us space out the slats. So we'll set those at the end, and we'll set our slat in here, and then screw it into place. And once the screw starts to go in, you can take out the spacer so that it doesn't get stuck. Then we'll go ahead and do the rest of them. Okay, we're all done. We hope this video was helpful for you in assembling this bed. For more guides, tips, and tricks, go to walkeredison.com.